Good evening, everybody. This is ReCooper8 with me, Lucy Cooper, and my fabulous co-host and busy friend, Katie Abbott.
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good
Stuff. And also in the studio, I forgot where I was for a moment. There's always something that happens at the beginning of the show. We have our very special guest, David Lynn. Welcome.
Thank you, Lucy.
Well, good to have you here. And so I'll just start with the segue, shall we? So we interviewed Jo Kempton last month.
Happy Valley Ferments.
That's right. And we had a lovely chat with Jo about how her business grew over time and then what gave it the huge boost. You know, it seemed, wanted to do a bit of growth and then got on board some expertise. And she had some really interesting things to say about getting good expertise. Oh, we've got devices buzzing all over the studio. And she mentioned that a business mentor, and then she emailed me and put us in touch. David Lynn, you are that business mentor.
I am.
Good to have you here. So talk to us a little bit about your company and what kind of services you offer.
Okay, well, I set up Tall Tree, which is my mentoring and advisory and business services company when we moved from Auckland to the Wairarapa about 2.5 years ago. And it gives me a chance to spend some time with the family, make a bit of a difference in the business community here, hopefully, and give some time to some other voluntary things which we may hear a little bit about later on. And I guess the core of what I do is around that mentoring and advisory. It's about assisting business owners, business managers, teams of people in businesses to work towards their goals and achieve those. And alongside that, obviously, I'm available to do work in their business, as it were. So when businesses go through periods of change, often they need to install new things or do things different ways or take things apart and put them back together or just do something entirely new. And I can roll my sleeves up, and Tall Tree can help businesses to tackle some of those things.
And with Jo's business in particular, I mean, she kind of talked about growth, didn't she? I'm not going to spill any commercial secrets, but what was Jo's kind of trajectory from your point of view when she encountered you?
I haven't really spoken to Jo too much about this, so I'm probably speaking out of turn as well. But I think, look, Jo's done a phenomenal job. She's been in business now 3 or so years, and from something that was a great idea and an assistance to her family, it's spawned a business. It's won her awards. Obviously, she has a growing clientele, and I guess when she invited me to assist her, she was sort of staring at the edge of the next big step. And I think she'd been probably sitting there for a while, slowly growing, but not pushing it. And I guess a little uncomfortable perhaps to take some of those next steps.
Yeah.
But she was so ready for it. The business was so ready for it. So I guess we've given her a little encouragement. We've looked at ways that we can steward that growth, manage that growth, target that growth. And look, Jo's just picked it up and run with it. And ultimately, that's my job, is to enable people to pick up and run and to become what they want to become, and what they want their business to become. So Jo has just sort of soaked up everything that we've gone through, and has gone out there and made things happen. And yes, she's on very different trajectory now. Well, perhaps a more advanced trajectory than she was when we started out, which is just wonderful.
Yeah, and I think when we spoke to Jo, I think when she was thinking about the kind of growth, she was imagining it was going to take some time, and then you kind of come on board and bang, we're done. we kind of grew in a few months.
and there's an element of that, but that doesn't just come from someone like me coming along and saying, go.
Yeah.
That's a piece of the puzzle, but it's about appraising the readiness to go. And Jo was there. She was just perhaps a little anxious about whether she had covered all the bases and about what it meant if she did take the next leap. And I guess part of having me along is an extra set of eyes, a few more grey hairs, a little experience in the world of business to evaluate where she was, to look at what she wanted to do and perhaps how we could do that best, to try and identify any gaps that would limit her ability to just pick up and run with that and address those.
Yeah.
And then I guess I've done some cheerleading, I've done some hands-on assisting on occasions, and we continue to work the way that we work to tackle the things that are in front of her, day by day, month by month.
Yeah, pretty exciting, eh?
It is.
What had led you into doing that? What's your background of?
Yeah, so my background is probably nothing like that, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's handy.
But having said that, my background probably does prepare me for it. And realistically, it was about me evaluating what my vocational opportunities were going to be in the Wairarapa when we moved down here.
Yeah.
Unlike my wife, I didn't have a really vocation to come here for.
What does she do?
She's a doctor. So it was part of her plan to get out of the hospital system and into a different space in medicine. And of course, when I came down here with my background in largely in technology and in property investment and property development and property sales and various other things, I had a very broad background, which has been great. I've had startup businesses of my own.
Yeah.
I've been involved in other startup businesses. I've done sort of high growth, high change businesses. I've done businesses going through merger and acquisition and restructuring. And I've also I've been involved in public sector organisations and latterly, I guess, in large multinationals as well. Typically, where a business unit has underperformed for some time and they want to address that. Mm. So you start looking at that, and then you start looking at the industries I've been involved in, come into contact with through those years, and then you look at the geographies where I've worked around the world. All of those sorts of things have given me some fantastic experience and some fantastic opportunities to achieve things for myself and for others, and now it's about applying that and hopefully bringing those benefits to businesses here.
Do you have a mentor of your own?
I do. I probably don't use my mentors necessarily the same way that I'm a mentor to some of the people I work with, in that I guess we're probably more high level. A lot of my mentoring relationships are sort of more personal relationships now.
Yeah.
They've grown over the years from being people who have been managers or agents of change in my life along the way, and we've sort of grown friendships, and now we exercise that the way good friends do. But yes, very much still look out of myself as much as in.
Yeah.
And that's often where the value's found.
Yeah, totally. Should we have a track while we just digest all the awesomeness, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit about tall trees? Oh, I tell you what we've got to do.
We've got to say thank you and shout out to our generous sponsors, the Greytown Hotel, Top Pub, Tony and Ursula, the home of Irish hospitality in Greytown. Thank you very much for your kind sponsorship.
Yes.
We love you.
We do. We do. And it's businesses like the Top Pub, aka the Greytown Hotel, which keeps Access Radio ticking along, really. So it's without people like Ursula and Tony, then Access Radio would really struggle. I love that connection between, the actual community and the radio programmes. It's pretty neat. Let's play one of your songs, David. Let me just reach over rather ungallantly to my phone. I'll unplug it from here. So anybody who's listening or watching, eventually this show will be available on Wairarapa TV, channel 41. And so this is a real treat for those who are going to be watching, because you can see me shuffling equipment from one side of the studio to the other. Okay, so David, you've got some nice tracks that you wanted to play. Talk to us about the one that we were playing earlier on, which I've completely forgotten. You do the talking.
Yeah, okay. So, put on the spot, some songs I wanted to play. That's all right. Lucy said, David, some songs. And I had a quick think and threw up a couple of songs. But the first one, I guess, is Hallelujah by Pentatonics. And I guess we're all probably familiar with Leonard Cohen's version of this, which is kind of one of those timeless classics. Mm-hmm. And Pentatonics, I guess, is a nice little segue to some of the things we're talking about tonight, because it's about teamwork. You'll hear 5 voices, some of them vocalising and some of them doing other things with their voice. Clearly, it's changing up Leonard Cohen's track, using voice as instruments, and I guess also a sign of time marching on with Leonard Cohen's passing and other people picking up the baton. So this is that.
Nicely done. Here we go then. In your own time. Oh, no, hang on. No. Oh, we seem to have a small problem. Hang on one second. Oh, it's because I've got it plugged into the wrong flipping thing. Okay, so it was a lovely introduction, David. And let's just pretend you have said it just the once. And okay, right, so now I'm going to be plugging the thing into the right thing. Oh, hallelujah.
I've heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Well, your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty in the moonlight overthrew you. She tied you to the kitchen chair, she broke your throne and she cut your hair, and from your lips she drew the hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
That was Hallelujah, and that was the version by Pentatonics. I think that's right. Welcome back. You're listening to ReCooper8. My name is Lucy Cooper. I had a complete failure of all the instruments earlier on, but we're back on track. I'm slightly flustered. I'm looking into the camera as instructed, and I'm flushed. I think I've got a healthy glow. In the studio with me, as ever, is Katie Abbott. Hello, Katie.
Hello.
And David Lynn of the business advisory consultancy service Talltrees. And we'll talk about Talltrees, the name, because as you say in your email to me, I'm not an arborist. But you are indeed a rather stupendous business coach. And you run a really interesting and very modern way of engaging new clients.
Well, I certainly try to. Yes, Talltree. I guess I spent several days while I was going through the throes of all the things you do when you set up a business in the background before anyone knows it exists, looking at its name, looking at its logo, and all those sorts of fun things, and had lots and lots of boring ideas about things that described what a business advisory service might do. And then I looked out the window and found this wondrous tree that people can't see, but anyone who looks at my logo will recognise a big giant redwood. As it's, I guess we would appreciate it, a Wellingtonia, as it was apparently known when they planted it.
Oh.
That's sort of out the window and stands about 50 metres tall and has got about another 700 years of growing to do. And it's a fairly wondrous thing to look at. And I guess I saw immediately all of the synonyms for organisations and businesses and living organisms like plants and trees. And the more you look around that, the more you see that all the things that plants and trees need to thrive and all of the changes they go through, all the stages they go through, are very, very much aligned with what organisations go through.
Yeah.
When it came to looking at some of the things that we do, Lucy's very kindly said I've got an interesting way of engaging the market, but one of the core offerings is that mentoring and advisory service that obviously Joe and Happy Belly Ferments is one of my clients. And I guess I sat back and looked at how I'd like to acquire that service if I was in that space. And rather than the usual models, which all the accountants and lawyers have popularised for years of show up and pay by the hour, I wanted something which was a lower threshold barrier to people. So after going several rounds, we've conceived an annual subscription model. Basically, that's a fixed fee that's paid up front. In doing that, obviously, I'm confident then that the business is investing in the relationship and in what it can hopefully do for the business. Obviously, it gets my attention. We underpin that with all of the contractual things that we need to make sure that Talltree is there and providing the service that the business wants. And the idea of the year is that it's a nice measurable time frame. We can watch things happen. We can track things happen. We can tackle things from month to month that just disappear each month. But equally, if the business is going through change, it might be over a number of months or even potentially over a number of years. And so you want that runway to be able to say, where have I come from? Where have I come to? Am I getting value? What are we doing? How have we changed? How have we grown? And that's what the model, I think, gives businesses the opportunity to find.
Yeah, totally. And so you can have, quite a bit one month, not much the next. You kind of just tailor make it to your needs as a business over the course of that year.
Yeah, and ultimately the clients will tell me what they need each month. We set up an agenda midway through each month, so we know what we're working to. If I need to go away and do some homework, I've got time to go away and do some homework. But the meetings are very much generally, I mean, each business is slightly different, but the meetings generally take the form of my input, not unlike that of a director in a company. Clearly, I'm not a director. I don't have any involvement other than someone who's advising the business. But it is very much like the director type relationship where I come in, I provide a different perspective. We're able to evaluate things. We're able to help make decisions. We're able to point out where we consider things the business may need to take another look at. And then yes, I guess is a source of confidence for some of the business owners who have use that as the basis for making their next leap, and doing so feeling a little bit better about it.
And I guess that, having the agenda and having kind of like a goals focus is really useful, particularly for a company that might be unclear of where they've come from, where they're going to. Sometimes just being able to get through a list of items, can feel like an enormous achievement, and that kind of sense of, I've done that list of things. We did achieve those goals that you've set out, and that kind of gets energy of its own, doesn't it?
Yeah, we make a point too of going back and looking at what we did, last month.
Yeah.
We start from there, as any organisation probably does when they sit down for a meeting, and immediately where the successes are in the last month, where the work continues.
Yeah.
And I guess that leads into to what's new on the table this month. And through the month, it's all very well to say we get together once a month or whatever it might be. But through the month, I make myself available to those clients, phone, email, what have you. So it's not like I roll in on my charger and roll back out on my steed at the end of the meeting and I'm not seen again. And some clients, some months may not see me between meetings, but I'll still make sure we touch base and we keep in contact. And equally, that really pressing thing might come up a week later, and next thing you know, we're working our way through that with them. So, yeah,
it's fabulous.
So you mentioned the homework aspect. Have you had any surprising finds since you've started the business of industries or areas of expertise that you hadn't previously known of?
Well, it's always surprising when you add clients in fields that you perhaps don't have direct experience of, how much you can learn about things that you might not go and learn things about otherwise.
Yeah.
We keep coming back to Jo just because she was the focus a month ago. But
fermentation.
I know a lot more about fermentation than I ever did. It hawks back to my younger days when children and young adulthood when we used to ferment all sorts of beverages. But
homebrew.
Well, when we were young, it was ginger beer, and
of course,
and on it goes. But yes, I mean, it is a different world when you have customers buying it, and you have all the things, all of the controls you have to subscribe to. So I've learned lots of those sorts of things along the way, and that's true for every client. I'm fortunate to bring a broad base of experience, but I certainly don't have all the content knowledge that you need. So we build that with the clientele, and we build that by doing our own homework around it.
Now, if people wanted to get hold of you, David, what's the best way for them to find out where you are?
Yeah, best way. I mean, the best way is always to pick up the phone and give me a call, probably.
Okay. Are you happy to share your number?
Yeah. Look, there's an 0800 number they can take down if they like.
Okay.
0800 026 620.
026
So look, that can follow me however I need to be contacted. So whether it comes through to the office or to my cell phone or to however else. So that's probably the easiest way, and that gets me directly.
Right.
And then as I say, we work in that mentor style. We call that working on the business, because we put our heads together and we work on the business, on the agenda. And then the other side of that flip coin, we call working in the business, and that's for those things that the business might want down the track, that change the way they do things, or that introduce new capabilities or whatever. And we do that obviously separately as a separate agreement, but that's obviously as we work together, we get unique knowledge about the business and about the people in the business and about the way its culture and the way it wants to work, and possibly we're also helping them to evolve that culture over time and to build high performing teams or whatever it is that they may see as important for where they're headed.
What's happening in the arena of change management these days? Is there any new ideas, or is all still the same principles apply?
I mean, a lot of the same principles apply, because the one thing that doesn't change is that most people don't like change, and so it's about how you bring people along for the ride, and how you have people embrace change, and sometimes they don't do that till very, very late. But look, some of the engagements we've had have been huge for some of those organisations, big changes, and ones that they didn't want to make. Perhaps the principal wanted to make them, but the team certainly didn't.
Yeah.
And yet, we get to the other end of that curve, and some months down the track, and the one that I'm thinking of, we've got, there's a small team of sort of 15 or 20 in the company, but there's a wider team of several hundred that work around them, contract to them, and we've had them all in over several nights, and absolutely unanimous in how positive the change was and will be, and as it turns out, has been. So those are the experiences you want to live for, because those I guess for me are the hallmark of success, when you can take people from something that they dread or don't want to even contemplate to
feel positive about.
Well, to feeling positive about, and then really getting benefit out of, and appreciating, and just running with. And I think that's got to be the goal for anything that we want to tackle in that world.
Why do you think change is so scary for a lot of people?
Oh, look, we get really good at doing what we do. We get really good at being comfortable in our space, and when we know what we're doing and how to do it, then it's really easy to keep walking down that path. But I think that we only have to look around us to see where change has taken us. If we want to take the big view, and think about transport, where it's come from and where it's still headed. There's monumental change over the last 100 years or so, and probably greater change again over the next 100. And yet, we would probably all agree that change is by and large beneficial. Everyone's, we can now trot backwards and forwards to the UK like Lucy and
your husband's Irish. So
and those were unheard of once upon a time, and huge expeditions, down through the ages. So it is about going, so how does this impact me? Is there benefit for me in it? Not all change is necessarily good change.
No.
But equally, sometimes change is the most liberating and positive thing we can do.
Now, I couldn't help but notice that a lot of your language is football related. That's the goal. We've got to tackle this. And that might not be absolutely accidental, because you're also a football referee.
I am. I've had many years in football in many parts of the world, mostly as a player. And I ended up coaching my son's team 2 or 3 years ago, and that led to me taking a community-based refereeing course, which was required to be able to referee the junior games. And then I got collared by the local refereeing organisers and the refereeing group, and got invited to take that a little further, and so that's what I've been doing. And seeing as Lucy's throwing the ball at me, I'll just keep running. But I'll give a little plug. The Phoenix, the Wellington Phoenix, I'm sure everyone knows, play in the A-League in Australia, and they're in their pre-season throws at the moment. So Tuesday night, a couple of days' time, at 5:30 down at Memorial Park on the turf here in Masterton. There's a match between Wairarapa United and the Phoenix.
Great.
So I think adults, I had a quick look before I came in. Adults $15, children free, I think is what I saw. But have a quick check on the Facebook page, and you'll find out, I'm sure.
Good school holiday activity.
And look, if you want to track down a business mentor, you'll find me running up and down the sideline because I'm one of the assistant referees on Tuesday night.
Any transferable skills from mentoring to
that's an interesting one.
Refereeing?
What it's been interesting for me, picking up refereeing and also assistant refereeing. We always used to call it being a linesman, but that's now not the done thing. But for me, it's been pretty interesting because the refereeing comes relatively easily. There's a bit of work to know the laws and to keep up with them. But in the middle, you tend to follow the ball. You tend to follow players around the ball. And you tend to have while you've got 360-degree view to keep up, it tends to be reasonably focused. On the sideline, when you're running up and down as an assistant referee, you're moving the whole time. You're looking in half a dozen places. You're looking for half a dozen different things. You're possibly wielding a flag with electronics in it that beep and vibrate on the referee in the middle.
I did not know that.
And you're possibly also wearing a comms kit, so you're talking to the referee and the other assistant referee and maybe a fourth official in some games. So you can find that being an assistant referee is actually far more overwhelming than being out in the middle.
It must be like learning to drive a car, kind of all hands.
Keeping it all coordinated. And I suppose we must ask your prediction for...
the World Cup final.
Yes.
The World Cup final. Look,
Should we? Is that okay?
Well,
I think
on
let's
the spot.
do it. Yeah.
On the spot. Yeah, why not? I don't know. I'd have to say that just on what I've seen of the sides that are there, obviously France, Croatia. I mean, France have looked the deal, pretty much from the start of the tournament. So they and probably 3 or 4 other sides have looked good, and they're one of the ones that's there. So it'd be hard to look past them, but it's a World Cup final. The players that come out and play on the day, that's probably the side that'll take it. But I would I'd be more inclined to think France now, but I might be made an idiot tomorrow morning. So
I'm going for France.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to make a score prediction. I've been wrong every single prediction I've made.
Okay.
3-2 to France.
Okay.
Yeah.
there you go.
And there's going to be a sending off and a fight. Maybe the fight comes first and then the sending off.
Maybe.
I do love a bit of drama. David, we're out of time, which is ridiculous. I know it's because you're also behind a thing. Sorry, oh God, it's been the end of a long week. Wairarapa Gifted and Talented, and. Let's just use a couple of minutes. Can you do potted?
Well, we'll have to find out, won't we? Do real potted. Right. Wairarapa Gifted and Talented is an organisation just set up to try and provide opportunities for gifted and talented children on the Wairarapa. And in the past, there's been what was called the One Day Centre, which was a one-day school for some of those children here in Masterton, run by the Masterton cluster of schools. And that got wound up when Trust House encountered its issues with its buildings, and then had to look at how it was funding education, and that was one of the casualties, unfortunately. And equally, there had never been a program in South Wairarapa. So I and someone else ended up combining minds, and then looking to build a community, which we've done. Quickly and easily, have a look on the Facebook, Wairarapa Gifted and Talented.
Okay.
If you look for Wairarapa Gifted and Talented on there, you should find us. There's a feed there which has information going through it all the time. We are working towards becoming a community trust with a view to potentially operating a one-day school in the future. But right now we're doing workshops, we're doing holiday programs. We're just about to launch theatre sports for year 5 to 8 students, which is a bit of a prelude to debating, which they'll do later on when they go, years 9 to 13. It's a growing beast, but it's another focus.
Ask a busy person.
Yes.
David Lynch, your man.
Get it done.
It's been lovely to talk to you. Thank you so
very
much.
nice.
You've
Thank
put
you.
up with all sorts of shenanigans, but I'm going to try and play the other track that you would have that you suggested, which is John Mayer. Am I saying that correctly? Do you want to give us a little bit about this track, why it's special to you?
The track is, I'm not sure that it's special to me. I think it speaks in some ways, though, to some of the things that, again, we've been talking about tonight. And the track is Waiting on the World to Change. And it talks about children being the future and looking at the world and I guess be able to weigh it up and see it for its faults, and go through their learning and growing and waiting on the world to change until they get their chance. And I look at that and say, we're creating minds that are growing, that are analysing what's going on, that are conceiving how it could be better, and ultimately that are getting out there and making those changes. So this is the track, Waiting on the World to Change, John Mayer.
Lovely. Thank you. It's
Thank
been a real
you.
pleasure speaking to you tonight,
Thank you,
and
Lucy.
good luck with all the other businesses. You're going to totally whip their ass and football and all sorts. So we'll have you back on when I don't know, when you're ruling the planet. Okay. Okay. So this is Waiting for the World on the World to Change.
Me and all my friends, we're all misunderstood. They say we stand for
Welcome back. You're listening to ReCooper8 with me, Lucy Cooper, and Katie Abbott. And we've just had this incredible changing of the guard going on. So David Lim from Tall Trees just wandered out, and Benjamin Blake from Poet World, Poet Land. Really am struggling with the language, I've got to say. I'm not on fire, am I? So,
That's right.
It'll come.
Benjamin Blake, poet and writer and all-round kind of creative powerhouse, podcaster. We'll talk about podcasts in a minute. Because do you listen to a lot of podcasts as well as make?
Not so much, actually.
I'm trying to find another podcast junkie I can.
You
we
already
can
know
go
I'm
there
a
later.
junkie.
Yeah.
Great to have you here. Now, if you don't mind, I'm just going to tell the listeners how we met you. So I curated a discussion at the Featherstone Art Sale, and I kind of used it to flagrantly self-promote and say, if there's any artists in the room who would like to come on our show and and talk about their work, and your mum came up to me and said, "I won't, but my son will."
Oh, bless you.
So it's nice to have you here. Now you're a published poet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Talk to us about because you're only a young guy, and what's that path been like for you? What's that trajectory look like?
This is my 5th book, I think, 4th or 5th,
Wow.
and I have another one due out this month.
Oh, good.
It's supposed to be out this month, but
Right.
we'll see.
Okay.
It's already been put back about 6 months, but
Right.
Are you self-publisher? Or?
no. This last one came out through a publisher in England, and my other ones were through publishers in the States. And this next one will be in the States again.
Great.
Wow. So have you always been, creative and writing? I mean, how did you get to be published? Because for a lot of writers out there, it's the holy grail. It's the thing they're, really hoping to achieve.
Well, I wrote a lot as a child, and then when I was about 18, I started writing just lyrics for songs that didn't exist.
Yeah.
And I kept
you
writing
in a
those for a
band?
good few years. No, I wasn't. That's the thing. I was just writing
They're
lyrics.
just pouring out of you.
And then I wrote my first short story since I was a child, and something hit me like, this is what I'm going to do in my life.
Right.
So I started submitting my lyrics as poetry,
Yeah.
and they eventually started getting picked up. Actually, pretty quickly after I first started submitting, they started getting published. And my first publisher asked if I had enough for a full collection, which was only like 23 poems or something, but I did. And so that came out digitally, just as an ebook. And I went from there.
Right.
And I published a novel and 3-4 collections.
Goodness.
So
I mean, is this your only source of income now? I mean, are you able to make a living from what you do?
no, I've actually just recently started writing articles.
Right.
And so I'm finally making money after 6 years of
Hard graft.
really living off the benefit and having to stay with my parents and having no money. I'm finally starting to bring money in from writing.
That's
It's
awesome.
bittersweet, but
Yeah.
it's great to actually see money come in.
Yeah.
What sort of articles are you writing?
On anything from gardening to cosmetic surgery.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For who? Where can we read your articles?
I don't even know where they go. I've tried to find them and I haven't been able to find them.
God, that's incredible.
Are you a gardener?
Yeah, actually I am. So that one was really easy to write.
Oh, good.
But you're not a cosmetic surgeon.
No, definitely not.
Or have had cosmetic surgery.
No.
I'm just going to pop out and get you a coffee, darling.
So we provide the full service here. Refreshments,
That's
video
great.
links, the whole
Yeah.
works. Now, if you don't mind me saying, your work is, there's a dark edge.
Oh,
there.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, very dark.
Yeah, could you talk to me about what inspires you? What are your motives? Because they're very strong, and you seem to have been consistent over the course of your writing. From
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I just think when I write anyway, it's almost a form of therapy or kind of exorcism of demons. And I just love to explore that dark side of humanity
Yeah.
and mortality. Thank you. I just got my
Teasing.
coffee.
So I heard you run on cigarettes and coffee, so we
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. We can't allow the smoking, but
Yeah.
you know.
I don't know how you know that, but it's true.
I've been looking up about you.
Okay.
I do
She-
my research too.
Oh my God! I tell you what, if ever you need a researcher, then Katie's your woman. Anyway, carry on because we were interrupted. I'm sorry.
What was I saying?
Your what
Your
inspired? Yeah,
Darkness.
dark.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I just love to delve into that really bleak side of humanity because I find a lot of people try to have that real motivational poster approach of like, you know, we love everybody and everyone can do it and stuff. And you know what? A lot of time in life you can't.
No.
And a lot of people suffer and a lot of people go through terrible things. And I like to kind of explore that side of stuff because I find it's a lot more visceral as well. It means a lot more. You have a stronger feeling from it. That's really why. And I've always been obsessed with dark things since I was a child,
Wow.
like graveyards and
Yeah.
bats. So, yeah.
And you were born in Eltham. Did that?
Yeah, I was.
How was
Oh.
how was that growing up there under the shadow of the mighty mountain?
It was wonderful.
It was.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Absolutely wonderful. I think without that, I definitely wouldn't be who I am today because our property ran down through the bush to a river. So I
cool.
spent most of my childhood off by myself, playing in the trees, swimming in the river, exploring,
Wow.
like lost in my own head, and a very small group of friends, but everyone knew each other and everything was very real.
Yeah.
And it was great growing up there. Yeah, really great.
So for you, this exploration of kind of the dark side of life is you called it a therapy. I mean, is that, you know, by working through those kind of images and that imagery, that helps kind of exercise those demons for you, or?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, I suffer from anxiety and
Yeah.
I'm generally, I guess, pretty miserable. But
He's saying that with a smile.
Yeah.
that's the weird thing. I smile and I laugh all the time, but I'm
Yeah.
also very depressive, I guess. I'm not sure. But
It's cool, bro. I feel you.
Yeah.
Come on now. Yeah.
Respect. And would you? Because I was just thinking when you said, you know, that people celebrate. Kind of, you know, everyone loving each other. I mean, that kind of Facebook culture must drive you.
Oh my God.
I recently left social media because I was
Right.
just sick of I mean, not so much, I mean, there's nothing wrong with people caring about people. That's the most wonderful thing in the world. But when everything is done because other people are doing it and they don't mean it, I can't stand it.
Yeah. That lack of
So,
authentic.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And someone says something, so that means that it has to be true and that everyone should feel that way. Even though people don't, they'll say they will. And it's no way to address any problem. You've got to talk to people and be honest.
Yeah.
And then you can solve things. But
Yeah.
until people learn to do that, it's not going to get any better, I don't think.
No. And I think a lot of kind of kindness drivers are not because people want to do kind things. It's because they want to be seen to be doing kind
Exactly.
things.
It's very not very often you see true altruism of, you know, people doing
definitely not.
things
Yeah.
for good reasons.
So you're off social media, but you have a website, don't you?
Yeah, I still have a website.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you podcast, which we will come back to
Yep.
because that was kind of fascinating. Now, you've brought in a book of poetry,
I have.
so we totally need you to read.
Okay. Well, I brought a couple of unpublished poems in.
Oh, good. Is this the first time they've been...
Yeah, it's the first time I believe they've ever been seen.
Oh, that's
and
great. Thank you.
I chose these because they're inspired by Marsden itself.
Yeah.
Because I moved here about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's such a lovely town
Yeah.
that I thought it was rather suiting. But this is called Pioneer Cemetery. Tombstones for eyes, the redwood's roots twist through bone, rabbit warren inside a pine box. The founding father clasps his hands. Oh, my sweet Emily, who buried you? There's dirt beneath these coffin nails. A sexton brother-in-law, buried in the very grave he recently dug for a drowning. The feral cats relish warm blood as I walk these forgotten avenues of the long-time dead. So,
That's fantastic.
thank you.
Wow. And is that based on the
Yeah, that's the one here.
symmetry?
It's
and-
pretty amazing.
It is
actually,
great.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I found it for the first time the other day with my kids, and
Yeah.
I was traipsing them through, and they were really miserable being in a graveyard. But I was like, oh my god, this is genius. You know, there was
The
so
history
much,
there is incredible.
and the names that keep popping up, the family names. When you sit down to write a poem, does it? And forgive me because I'm not a poet, and when I studied English at university, then poetry was something I kind of got through quite quick. I can appreciate it, but I've got no natural proclivity for it. Yeah. But do you do many drafts, or is it all kind of pouring out
It's
and then you
generally
tweak?
just 2.
Right.
I like to write longhand, so I sit down, write it out, leave it for a while, and then eventually type it up, and that's when I'll make any alterations.
Got it.
Which is generally, they're pretty small. Like I'll switch a word around here, a word around there. But it's pretty much as it was written.
Yeah, it's incredible. And are you writing every day?
Most days.
Yeah.
Yeah, most days. At least a poem or something small.
Just
But
a poem, just flicking out a poem here and there. Tell me what you've brought a collection with you, and could you just tell us the name? Well, actually, hold it up to the camera. One of your cameras. I think this
Oh,
one's yours.
great.
Yeah. Let's have
This
a
is
look.
your latest, isn't it?
yeah, this is my latest collection.
Standing on the threshold of madness.
Awesome. And tell us about that collection.
Well, my last collection before that, Southpaw Nights, was a collection of poetry and prose, and it was quite dark, but I really wanted the next one to be even darker. So I kind of pulled together the darkest things I'd written and put them all together, and I tried a new publisher out in England, and he really liked them, and they'd never published poetry before, but published it, and it went really well. S.T. Joshi, who is an American a scholar on like H.P. Lovecraft, he highly praised it because I asked him if he could write a couple words about it, and he really liked it. So
Awesome.
that was brilliant.
Yeah.
I was really, really happy with that.
Would you call your style, is it gothic, or
There's-
is there a term for the genre?
The thing is, I'm not sure. I don't think so. There's definitely gothic elements to it, and it's horror, and that's why I come into a lot of trouble because I love words and I love beauty and things, and it's all about the atmosphere. Where horror generally is about trying to scare people, which I find absolutely silly. But so I'm not sure. Dark poetry, I guess.
Do you find? Is your intention? Because it's not shocking as such. I mean, there are some images in there. What? Yeah, I guess for people who are, unfamiliar with that, type of poetry. I guess what I'm saying is, what are you trying to
Make
help
people feel.
Yeah, make people feel. Thank you.
Yeah.
As I've come with half a brain cell today, and you've got it all. All right, so I'm giving you my best.
Okay. Thank you. I think just to conjure up a feeling and a setting and maybe a story, but just something people can read and kind of imagine whatever way they wish, but feel what I'm trying to get them to feel. Which generally is pretty bleak, but there's also a lot of beauty in it.
Yeah.
So it's very...
I felt that the poem you just read evoked. I felt being in the cemetery straight away, and you always look at headstones and you wonder what their lives were and how they died, and the is it Victorian or some culture anyway started like the language of tombstones and symbolism on the tombstones. You know a bit about that?
Not terribly much, but I do know that
Like
there's certain willow trees.
or a
tombstones.
broken rose or a thornless rose would
the
symbolise
symbolism,
unrequited love, and
Yeah.
there's all just pages and pages of different. I find that fascinating.
Yeah,
but all
the
the
language.
different stories and what's behind a headstone is it's great. It's a very evocative place to be, isn't it?
Definitely.
Could you read us another?
Oh, definitely.
Would you be happy to? Lovely, thank you.
So this is from Standing on the
The Threshold of Madness.
your new collection.
This poem is called Ambulance Bay, and it's just about me and my best friend exploring an old historical hospital in New Plymouth at night, and armed with a camera and a flashlight, we climbed the concrete steps to the old hospital grounds. With breath held tight in 2 pairs of lungs, we swept the incandescent blade across the gravel lot and dirty window panes. Detritus scattered and nooks piled high with dead leaves didn't quite deter us, though the scuffling of a harried hedgehog caught us well off guard. And speaking of such, they didn't seem to be making their rounds. Years before, a former inmate had damn near maimed us both, though we weren't acquainted then, and wouldn't be for another several seasons. The camera flash illuminates like man-made lightning the historic buildings and unkept shrubbery, accompanied by the implicit feeling of being watched. It's not until arriving home, when your wife is inspecting the subsequent shots, that the discovery is made of a gnarled visage peering from a window of a nurse's quarters. Could this be the fabled lady in grey, a late suicide once found hanging from the shower rod, or something older and much more dark?
It's proper chilling, eh?
It is.
Yeah.
Was that the hospital that you were born in?
No, it wasn't the one I was born in, but it's a very old building, which
In
was
Eltham?
in New Plymouth. It was the quarters of the nurses, which is still standing now because it's protected. It's a heritage site, but it's just sitting there falling apart. And there's this urban legend about a lady in grey that sometimes appears, and when we went back and looked through the photos, it looked like there was a face. And yeah, my friend's wife is Filipino, so they're very superstitious, and she just freaked out, like, you are not going back there ever again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh. It's do you also explore your images through photography or painting?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I've been shooting photos since I was about 16.
So those images on your website are yours?
Yeah, they're mine.
Oh,
and the
they're
one on the
pretty
cover
cool.
of the book is mine as well.
Yeah, I would thoroughly recommend people to visit benjaminblake.com. It's a
very
really
cool.
good
Thank you.
it's a good journey. Your grit and determination is clearly, undisputable. To get 5 books published, and you're only a nipper, still, plenty of time ahead of you. But and I don't know if this is going to be an insensitive question, but clearly there's a dark kind of depressive side. Did any of that kind of threaten to overwhelm that grit and determination that you have to get your work out there? How did you balance those two?
I think sometimes it probably does. So I try to keep as absolutely self-contained as possible, where I'm surrounded by things that make me content, whether it's being out in the garden or hanging out with my dog or my cats or my family, and
You're good at self-care.
yeah.
right?
Yeah, isn't that? And it's interesting. I'm just going back to that kind of Facebook thing, which seems to be flooded with kind of self-care stuff. But actually, nobody's, it's so easy to miss the absolutely obvious, which is just to do the things that give you joy.
Turn your phone off and go pet your cat for half an hour or something. You feel brilliant. It's so simple.
Yeah, that's right. I have sorry, I'm going to talk about the rabbit because
Here
it's
we
not
go.
well at the minute. But sometimes if I've got a busy day coming, I'll just go out and pet the rabbit, and I can retain the sensation of the fur on my hand all day long. It's like I can recall it, and it's like a little mental tick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shall we play a track?
We probably should.
Now, it comes as no surprise, listeners, that Benjamin really does love Joy Division.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've got Love Will Tear Us Apart, which is, I've got to say, what about the...
song.
Yeah, it is this awesome song. What about the biopic? Is it biopic?
No, let Benjamin decide. Is it biopic or biopic?
Of
like a
I think it's
autobiographical
biopic
picture.
because I think it's like a picture that's biographical.
I've always said biopic.
Yeah, no,
Anyway.
I'm with you.
That sounds something to do with eyesight. I don't know.
That's myopic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what about Joy
But
Division?
there was a great film, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really
Yeah,
good.
it was an excellent film. Anyway, sorry. I'll try and stick to one thing. Okay, so this is Love Will Tear Us Apart. Right, okay, so everybody get a cup of tea and just soak it up.
Yeah.
Soak it up. Well, that was Joy Division and Love Will Tear Us Apart. It's a fabulous track. It's a great track, eh? It's a great track. And in the studio with us is poet and writer and podcaster Benjamin Blake. Good evening, Benjamin, again.
Good evening.
Got a great voice. It's nice, coming through strong. And we were just in that break talking about podcasting, because you have a podcast called For Children.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And can you tell us what that's about?
Well, basically, it's about a 16-year-old boy who moves to an unknown town, and he doesn't know anyone, and finds out very soon after his best friend's just been killed in a car wreck. So he's feeling very isolated and very lost, and he falls in with a group of misfits who practice or want to practice black magic. So they form like a coven of sorts and start experimenting with it, and things go very, very badly. So, and it's told through talk therapy sessions. When Mark, who was 16, is in his 30s, and he's seeing a psychiatrist.
Right.
And he's telling the story to the shrink.
Got it.
So.
And the structure is really interesting, because there's no episode which is longer than 6 minutes, I think. I think that might be your longest episode.
I think so. I think that's probably the longest.
Yeah, and there's a couple that are just a minute.
Yep.
So this kind of, that concept of having a story chunk by chunk through podcasting is, has been, since Serial has been all the rage. And so yours, because you said you wrote it about 2 years ago, is that right?
I recorded it about 2 years ago. I think I wrote it about 4 years ago.
Right. So it's interesting that, probably unbeknownst to you, because you're not a big podcast listener, I understand. You were totally with the zeitgeist then with this bite-sized chunk thing.
Yeah.
And tell us why, because in the music break you were just explaining that you like to write in short bursts.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'd like to keep, whenever I'm writing it has to be optimal. In the minute when I feel like I don't want to do it anymore, I stop.
Yeah.
So some days it's a lot longer, some days it's shorter, depending what I'm writing about, what I have to say that day.
Yeah.
But I mean, some of my poetry can be 2 lines, and
right.
other poems can be a few pages.
And that transition from prose to poetry, do you? I mean, some days is there a poem sitting there in your head, or is how do you make that decision as you're putting pen to paper? This is going to be a piece of prose, or this is going to be a poem.
A lot of the time it all links together. There's stories I have that started out as poems and then turned into screenplays from the story, right, or into podcasts. And generally though, if I don't really think I'm going to be able to sit down and write for a good amount of time, I'll just write a poem. Right. It just takes so much more focus writing longer pieces, and you have to be mentally prepared to sit there, and it's a lot more exhausting as well, I think, because you really have to delve into that whole world, where with poetry you can do it in like a few lines.
Yeah.
With prose it's a lot more work. So it depends how focused and how I'm feeling on the day. And
so you've got the photography, and you're clearly an ear for delivering stories as well. Is there room in there for collaborating with people?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
My next book that's coming out is a split poetry collection with my friend in Texas. So I wrote half the poems, he wrote half the poems, and we put it together. And
how did you meet? Is he a New Zealander in Texas?
No, he's from the Midwest originally, but I met him on Instagram when I used to have Instagram. I mean, so yeah, there's good things about social media too.
Yeah,
but and we just he was a writer, and he listened to the same music as I did.
Yeah.
So we started talking, and we've actually written a pilot, or not a pilot, script for the first season of a TV show.
Right.
Oh.
So yeah, I love working with that guy because I like him as a person. So I want to talk to him. I want to spend time working on stuff with him, and that's it, I think. And he's a good guy, and we have each other's back, and I help him out as much as I can. Like I steered him onto magazines so that published him, because he'd never been published before.
Right.
So I helped him out with submit to this place with this type of stuff, and they should publish you. This place should publish you. So I helped him get started.
Yeah.
So do you think the pilot series will get legs, or you?
I hope so.
Yeah.
But
Can you share a bit about what it's about, or is it all under?
No, it's a horror anthology show, so it's reminiscent of the Twilight Zone and the X-Files.
Yeah.
Tales from a Crypt. So they're little stories, 2 stories each episode.
Right.
Go for 20 minutes each. And just anything from serial killers to possession, just standard classic horror.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hope it gets picked up. It's difficult because I try to get it picked up in Hollywood, and it's so impossible now because you have to be referred in the industry, but you need an agent to get it picked up. So agents are like, if you're not referred, we can't pick you up, and it's like, well, I can't get it made without an agent. So, because a few years back I heard about people sending scripts and getting them picked up there and stuff. I think maybe it's different for TV shows, but it's proven near impossible.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I don't know. It's at the moment it's just sitting there.
Yeah. But I guess the great democratization of creative output that the internet brings, you could totally make it yourself, I guess.
Yeah, I've definitely
Yeah.
considered it.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to direct.
Yeah.
So it's something I definitely consider.
What's your inspirations for films and TV? What sort of things make you happy?
I grew up with a lot of 1980s horror movies and stuff.
Yeah.
And I love those, but David Lynch, stuff like Twin Peaks and Blue Velvet.
Blue Velvet.
Yeah. Stuff like that is just, I absolutely adore it. And I recently, or the other night, watched The Elephant Man, and the movie touched my heart. It was so sad.
It is.
I've just realised the time. We've got our film reviewer coming on in a minute,
yes.
reviewing A Quiet Place. Have you seen that?
Have you seen it?
That's the one.
No one's allowed to say anything.
No, I haven't. My best friend has seen it, though.
Yeah. A guy in Texas.
Oh, no, the guy in New Plymouth.
Oh, what did he think?
He said it started out really good.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it went with a lot of special effects, and it kind of ruined the whole vibe of it.
Oh,
So
yeah. I wouldn't go and see it, would I?
Oh, you wouldn't? No. I would have.
I'm such a wimp, honestly. I like a good costume drama with no slasher horror in it whatsoever. I think only because if I did and I really enjoyed it, I'd probably like.
Well, you might like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. That could be a good entry level thing for you. That was quite good. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. I didn't know they made it into a film.
Oh, they did. Yeah.
And it's good.
Yeah,
it's worth a
quite
watch.
good.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
Yeah. Another take on the zombie genre.
Totally.
How are you feeling about apocalypse stuff? Is that in your radar?
Yeah, a lot of my poetry, well, not a lot, but every now and again I write like post-apocalyptic stuff. It absolutely fascinates me.
Me too. Do you like The Quiet Earth?
I've never heard of it.
Oh, mate, you better
God.
put that on your viewing list.
All right, okay.
That's the ultimate New Zealand post-apocalyptic scenario. Yeah, I think you should. I think you might like it.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
Right.
You're going to play us one of your other pieces of music before we say goodbye?
I've managed to dig out a forest.
Yeah, by The Cure.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's been a real pleasure to meet you. And
you guys.
And I wish you all the success.
Thank you.
And I just, anybody who's published 5 books, far out. That's a
cool.
huge achievement. And it looks like, you've just a wellspring of ideas and inspiration. And I hope you keep in touch with us because we.
I definitely will.
That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
definitely.
Good
Are your
stuff.
books deposited with National Library?
They aren't. I tried to get it into a local library here, but I donated a copy to them, but I don't think it made it on the shelf, so I don't know what happened.
Oh. If you send it to the National Library, they'll put it in their.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll definitely do that.
Yeah,
I
one of
love
each.
libraries. I
Yeah.
volunteered at one when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So
all
Libraries,
your work. Get it all off.
yeah.
That's your job
okay,
for tomorrow.
thank you so much for that. I'll definitely do that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And keep in touch and let us know how you get on. It's been a real pleasure to
I will,
meet you.
definitely.
And thanks to your mum for
Yeah.
hooking us all up. It's been genius.
What's your mum's name?
Yeah.
Her name is Kyron.
Kyron. Thank you.
Shout out to Kyron. She was
Very-
lovely because she's an
Yeah.
artist, eh?
Yeah, she's a painter. She
Yeah.
has a site, Artwork by Kyron, at wordpress.com.
Okay.
And-
And your dad, is he also a creative soul?
Yeah, in his own way, he's more into carpentry.
Okay.
So he builds things, actually builds them,
Right.
where we kind of imagine them. Then, yeah.
You do all the thinking. He does.
But no, he's definitely very talented, and because with all the carpentry and woodworking he's done.
Yeah.
So
Great. Thank you very much. This is, once I've found the right buttons on my iPhone, this is a Forest by The Cure. That's been Benjamin Blake. Thank you so
Thanks,
much for
Benjamin.
coming.
Thank you.
And we'll have you, we'll hopefully see you again very soon. And good luck with all your work. And here we go. Music.
going to talk over it
Yeah.
because I want to know what year it is. What year was that done?
I don't know, and now I've just done the worst fade out in radio history.
Sorry, people.
Welcome back to ReCooper8.
I just wanted to know how old I was when I
I
listened to that.
don't know. That was great. So that was
The Cure.
The Cure, and yeah, it did take me back to I don't know, just sort of pogoing up and down in various nightclubs in Leeds.
Oh.
Did I do that? I'm not sure. Maybe I just dreamt it. This is ReCooper8. We've had a really interesting hour. We both fell in love with Benjamin Blake. We gave him a hug as he left.
1980.
1980. Oh no, I was only 5.
Yeah, must have been the second time round.
I might have been pogoing in my baby jumper.
You weren't that progressive, were you?
No, God, no. Art of Noise and Beastie Boys was my first kind of musical crushes.
Oh.
Must have been about 9 or 10, I think.
Mine was Meatloaf.
Meatloaf. Wow, really?
Parent. You know, it was the parents' music.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Meatloaf.
Yeah, Meatloaf.
And Santa Esmeralda. Do you remember them?
No.
Oh,
Jeez,
I might
we need to
put that
find
on
that.
the playlist
Yeah, totally.
If Enrico doesn't sort his stuff out.
No, we're waiting for Enrico, who is causing us all sorts of technical issues. So for long-time listeners of the show, Enrico, do you remember him? He was the guy that used to do film reviews until his life got busy. Our life is busy, isn't it, Katie? But we remember to turn up every month.
Yes.
But he is held back. Maybe a slight handicap would be that he is in Italy,
Yes.
living
Milan,
to
be precise.
Oh, now, should we just rehearse the song?
Yes.
Because it was Enrico's birthday, so check this out. You start. I don't even know the first...
Tante auguri à toi.
Toi.
Et toi?
Et toi? That's French.
That's French.
Maybe we won't do it in Italian. Oh, we had it in the car, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
To say things are falling apart here on ReCooper8 would be an underestimation. Let's just give another shout out to our sponsor.
Yes.
The fabulous, the one and only Greytown Hotel, otherwise known as the Top Pub. Why is it called the Top Pub, Katie?
Top of the town. Number top.
Just a great top place to go. And they've been sponsoring our show for a long time now, eh?
I think it was the top of the town, like the top of the
Yeah.
end of the town.
Yeah, because it's not on the outskirts anymore, is it? But it's
No.
kind of a little bit further than all the other places.
It's technically in the historic precinct.
Is it? Is it? Oh, that's right.
Yes.
And so they sponsor this show every month, and we're supremely grateful to them. Supremely. Still trying to connect with Enrico. I'm wondering if we can talk to him in any other ways. Can we? I don't know.
Can we summon him?
I could send him a Zoom link, could we?
Ouija?
Ouija.
board?
Oh, yeah, after. Well, Benjamin Blake was fascinating,
So
wasn't
it's
he?
www.benjaminblake. It's BenjaminBlake.com.
Writer
Brilliant.
and photographer.
Yeah,
I
go
liked
check
him very
his
much
website
indeed.
out.
And he was remarkably frank, I thought. And, you know, it was really nice to talk to somebody who had that level of honesty about what motivates them and, you know, how they use their writing to overcome various issues and, you know, challenges, I guess. I'm flanneling because I'm really struggling. Katie, could I, while I just fanny about, and that's a technical term, with the computer, could you just tell us about this wonderful...
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So, Pangea.
Or Pangea?
Pangea? Isn't that the original supercontinent? Pangea? We used to be part of Pangea before it all split off into...
I'm not sure, you know. We
Anyway.
could Google it, couldn't we?
Well, this is a fusion of the best Western and Eastern styles by 3 well-established international musicians who reside in Delhi. They're performing an exciting mixture of Indian, Hindustani and Western classical music with contemporary original compositions, combining classical guitar and voice and Indian classical music. So the trio comprises of 2 of India's most exciting young classical musicians, Saptak Sharma and Mainak Rana, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, and New Zealand musician and composer Mike Hogan, who's on guitar and vocals. And they've all gained quite a high recognition in their individual fields. So they're having a concert at the Kiwi Hall, which is in Featherston, And that's on Wednesday, the 8th of August. Doors open 7 p.m. and tickets are 5 to 25. I suppose that's 5 for kiddies and 25 adults.
Yes, and I believe that there is a
Special offer for Friends of Kokomai.
That's right.
We love Friends of
We
Kokomai. So that's
certainly do.
$15 for if you're a friend of Kokomai, you can get a special offer ticket, and your tickets are from Event Finder, the usual. Just look up Pangea, Pangaea, Featherston.
And that's another production brought to the wonderful South Wairarapa by Martine Potato. And
Friend of the show.
Yeah, friend of the show, and also just basically kick-ass lady. I think if there's anything of a interesting cultural nature going on, Martine tends to be behind it, which is marvellous. Now, Enrico, I've finally got connected. So what we're going to do is we're going to call him, and he's going to be live on air immediately. So Enrico from Milan, who is our film reviewer and also all-round music buff. I do like that word, buff. Buff. So I'm going to call him now. Are we comfortable with this?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I'm ready to sing.
All right.
Happy birthday.
Oh, good. Glad you are. Okay, here we go. Can you hear him? Oh, yep. Oh, this is sounding good.
Oh, is that the new Skype? Did he?
It's so
They pumped
funky,
it
eh?
up. Arte.
Well, there he is.
Oh,
Good morning.
Good morning. How
good
are you?
evening. And happy
Good.
birthday.
Thanks, Helen.
Are you ready?
Thank you so much.
Ready?
Okay, we're going to sing. We're going to sing.
Tanti auguri a te, tanti auguri a te, tanti auguri Enrico. Tanti auguri a te.
Wow, that's
Good.
wonderful.
Good.
That's amazing.
Oh, good.
So
Thank you.
you're welcome anytime. Well, once a year, actually. Now, let's just I'm just fiddling with the levels.
Are we allowed to ask
Okay.
how old you are?
Is it? Can I? Oh,
Is
yeah.
that done?
Can we ask how
Is that the done thing?
I'll tell you what, you guessed how old I am. There you go.
Oh.
That puts the
21.
uncomfortable-
21.
33.
today.
56. 48. Stop me when I've got it. 32.
I am 47.
Oh, that's
Oh,
young.
just a nipper.
Just
a
a
nipper.
nipper.
Can you hear
Yeah,
him all
yeah.
right in your headphones? Is
Yes,
he
I
just,
can hear it just in one ear.
just in one ear?
Is that
Why are you
okay?
only coming out of one ear?
I don't know.
So for everybody, Enrico is in mono. For such a modern young man.
Mono in Milan.
I don't know.
Because exactly, Mono from Milan. That's me.
It's your new handle.
We haven't seen you for such a long time, and the viewers haven't seen you at all because we now get beamed after the show is closed, live. Well, no, obviously not live then. Oh, Jesus. It's been hard. Honestly, it's like walking through treacle today. So we're beamed afterwards on to Wairarapa Telly, Channel 41. And so, Enrico, because we haven't managed to work out how that part of the thing works, I'm now going to put you in front of my screen. Oh, hang on. Yeah.
See the
Tilt
Quality
them down
Street.
a bit.
There's a box of Quality Street
It's
there.
biscuits.
Yeah, it's biscuits. Don't get overexcited.
Yeah. Sorry.
So
Hoof.
that's what he looks like.
There he goes.
The Phantom Menace.
The mono from Milan.
That's me. Yeah.
Is the mono.
Oh, God.
Milano.
Oh,
Lucky I'm wearing clothes this time.
oh
Yeah,
I
that's
know.
good.
I did promise everybody a treat, but, you let us down. That's okay. We haven't seen you for such a long
Come in your
time.
birthday suit.
Yeah, 47. It's not what it was. Yeah,
Just the neck up. Right.
that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, where were we?
we're not here to fraternise. We're
No.
here to talk filmage.
That's right. So you've been out and about, Enrico, watching films?
I have. I've kind of chosen 3 quite interesting films. One that I was really quite disappointed with, and 2 that I found
Ooh.
pretty fascinating.
Can we guess which one
now,
you were
I know how
disappointed
much you
with?
both love horror movies as well, and the 2 that I found
well, I do.
interesting are kind of horror thriller movies. And the other one is one from it's a recent movie, but it turned out to be really disappointing. So shall we start with that one?
Yeah. Let's
Always go with your disappointments first.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. So
Is that a rule of life?
So I saw a movie called Loving Pablo, which is a movie based on Pablo Escobar. Now, I don't know if you've both seen Narcos, the series, and how brilliant Narcos is. So I was expecting big things from this film. So Virginia Vallejo is a woman who she was a journalist in Colombia in the late 70s, early 80s, and she got an interview with Pablo Escobar just as he was coming up through sort of the political ranks in Colombia. And obviously he was very much into his drug running at the time as well, and she obviously then got into a relationship with him, and after a few years wrote the book Loving Pablo, Hating Escobar, which I read and I thought was a fascinating kind of insider view of Pablo Escobar's life. So they wrote this movie based on his life and on the book, and I just found it a really strange. It showed me kind of almost what's wrong with Hollywood at the moment, in that this is a film that has a predominantly kind of Spanish-speaking cast, and it was in English. So it's really difficult to follow. Yeah. The accents are really, really, really strong, and I'm someone who's pretty good with accents, being from the background that I am. So I found it really strange, a really strange decision to do that, and I found it really hard to follow the story in certain parts. And you have, you've got a stellar cast as well. So, you've got Penelope Cruz and Javier Bardem who play, Virginia and Pablo.
And they're a couple in real life, aren't they?
Oh, are they?
Aren't they? Am I wrong?
That's a very good question.
I think I'm right.
Okay.
So there's probably some good chemistry there.
Oh.
Not acting, just being like a couple.
That's where I'm going wrong. I'm warming up now. Sorry, Enrico, carry on.
That's all right. If you read the book, the book's a really, really fascinating insight into how he rose through the ranks in Colombia and became the man that he did, and the rise and fall. And she obviously, kind of helped in that, because she was targeted by the FBI to help bring him down, and she's now in exile in the US, living in exile in the US. So it's a great story. The book is fantastic, and so I was really, really kind of looking forward to this movie, but unfortunately, just kind of typical Hollywood. And let's not do a movie with subtitles, and let's make it hard to follow kind of thing.
Yeah, so they're all Spanish actors speaking in English, and you think that was a deliberate attempt by Hollywood to just broaden the audience or to dumb it down, or?
I think it obviously has quite a big budget, so there's always a risk in creating a big budget movie and putting it in a different language.
Yeah.
So I just thought the decision was made probably quite early on to make it an English speaking movie, but it's just obviously to make it authentic, they brought in a lot of Spanish speaking kind of actors and actresses, and it just makes it very, very difficult to follow the story.
Yeah,
were there
which is a real challenge.
Were there any redeeming features? Did it have a good soundtrack or a?
No, I mean it was
nice to look at.
It was very glitzy. I mean, it was very, again, it was kind of, I think it was trying too hard to be almost like a Goodfellas, to kind of show, especially kind of his rise. They made it look very, very, very kind of glitzy and glamorous, and I don't know. I think it just tried too hard, to be honest, Katie. I don't think it was particularly a good movie.
Well,
can I just interject?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, you are coming through only on one ear, and I think we've got issues. We have issues. We have a technical issue. So if the listener could... what I'm going to do, Enrico, is just swap cables. Can you bear it? Okay, so 1 second. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this. It means you looking at my chest, just briefly. Hang on. And Katie, do you want to fill in with some exciting observations of your own?
Oh.
Hang on 1 second. Hang on.
I know we were talking about podcasts before with Benjamin, and I have been listening to a couple of podcasts of late. One is Unexpected Fluids, which, as the name sounds, is about unexpected bodily fluids. But it's quite a good production. It's from BBC 4, and it's Irish Iraqi young man. I've forgotten his name, but he's a YouTube podcaster and a gay activist.
Yeah.
And he does the podcast with another lady who's a sex toy educator.
Right.
It's quite.
Are you catching all this, Enrico?
Yeah, it's quite funny. It's quite good. So I'd recommended that.
I can't hear him now.
Oh.
Hang on. Oh. No, can't hear you.
Oh.
I don't. It sounds. And is it sexual fluid?
Yes, unexpected fluids. Yeah, it's quite. There is a parental guidance, or like a warning that they do talk about.
Jolly good.
Yeah,
because
so
you wouldn't want that.
Turn off
into the wrong
now
hands.
if you're not wanting to be shocked or disturbed. But quite interesting. And the other one I'm listening to is.
Hang on.
Oh,
just let me. Hello, are you there?
hello.
No, it can't hear him at all. What's going
Why don't we go back to our original?
I have.
Oh,
What is going on, Enrico? Hello. He could lip read. No, we could lip read. Should we play a track?
yeah. Let's do that while we sort out.
Enrico,
our
we're going to play a
problems.
track. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. I haven't touched anything. I haven't broken anything. Oh, hang on a minute. Oh, no, that's all right. Oh, my God. I don't think we're going to win any awards with this, are we?
No.
What should we play? Something from Enrico's. He can't hear us. So, well, no, he can hear us. We can't hear him. So we're going to play something from his track list.
Okay.
And so bear with me because, again, nothing seems to be working. Sounds fascinating, that podcast.
It is. It's really good.
Surprisingly listening to a lot of what you said, even though I looked a little bit distracted. Hang on one second. Right, so I'm just opening up this and we're having, what do you think? Oh, Janelle Monáe. It's got a rude word in it.
Okay.
It's got a few rude words in it. Are we okay with that?
I'm okay.
We're all grown-ups, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 second. Please hold caller. I'm just going to play that. I Like That, it's called.
Okay.
God, I'm beginning to sound almost desperate. Hang on. No, nothing's working. So what have I done wrong?
I don't know, love.
There's no buttons
Hello?
working.
Oh.
Hello. Oh, hello.
Hello.
Oh,
Can you hear
oh,
me?
hang on. I've got the wrong thing on. Oh,
This is
I have to walk around and slap her.
Oh
She's
my God.
lost
this is
it.
a professional production. This one.
Yeah.
all
Come
right.
on.
So this is a note to management. Can you please cut out at least a good 20 minutes in the middle of the show where I had a shock with all the things? But the thing is, you're still only coming out of one ear hole.
Let's just
That's
roll
okay.
with
We're
it.
just going to get over that, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're going to move on. I'm so
Okay.
sorry, Enrico. I know you've put your clothes on and
okay.
everything, especially for this show.
Especially for this, yeah.
Oh, man. Shall we play music?
Yeah, well,
yeah,
what-
all right.
is
Well,
it-
are you happy for us to play Janelle Monáe?
Well, I'll tell you what. Play Christine and the Queen's Girlfriend.
Okay, Christine.
That's a very, very new track. French artist who's just come out. She had an album a couple of years ago that was a kind of bit of an underground hit. And she's got a new album coming out in 2 months' time.
Right.
And this track is from the new album, and it's very, very good.
Brilliant. So, Girlfriend.
Yep.
Okay, good. I'm sorry, Katie. I think Katie's going to sack me. Here we go.
Chris.
I'm gone in a flick, but back in the second. Distorted skin, rash for no reason. Boys are loading their arms, girl gasp with envy. And they mimicking endlessly. Same as sadness in small lumps on my jaw. For lusting after is the usual fiction. May your girl come, birdie die under the spell. Fingers and release some come touch your gullet then girlfriend. feel like a girlfriend, but lover. Damn, I'd be your lover. Girlfriend, don't feel like a girlfriend, but lover. Damn, I'd be your lover. Yeah. Yes, sir, I am wait for I happened and my fame in the lake. Let's see now how fast you're breathing and how long this will take. Those who used to pass by me think they are baffling a liar. Fuck is you, you didn't even taste much better. Came back steaming in sweats in the morning. I muscled in for I wanted to hold him. Then traveled to let those bird dogs rage through. Fuck is me, fuck is you, fuck is you now. Girlfriend, don't feel like a girlfriend, but lover. Damn, I'd be your lover. Girlfriend, don't feel like a girlfriend, but lover. Damn, I'd be your lover.
Chris, I don't know why you tricking me.
Touché, 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 touché. Touché, 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 touché. Touché, 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 touché.
You got to keep on rolling, girl. Keep rolling, rolling, rolling.
Touché, 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 touché. Touché, 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 touché. Touché, 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 touché.
Cool. I like this.
That was fun.
That's really cool.
I thank you very much, Enrico, for introducing us to that girlfriend.
Who's the artist?
Can we hear him?
Christine.
Yay.
Christine and the Queens.
Christine and the Queens.
Awesome. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Any relation to Florence and the Machine? No.
No.
Only a half rhyme.
I tried. Come on.
Oh, welcome back. You're listening to ReCooper8 with Lucy Cooper. There's only half of me here. I'm absolutely convinced of that. And Katie Abbott, all of
I'm
her is
fully
here.
here.
She
I'm
is
fully
fully here.
here.
And Enrico, who is actually only half here because he's in mono.
Yeah.
And that was the technical hitch I was trying to fix, and I did a really poor job. I apologise to everybody, including our sponsors, the Top Pub, otherwise known as the Greytown Hotel. This is where your money goes. So, Enrico, what's next? What's the next cab off the rank?
Let's talk about A Quiet Place.
Yes.
Which this isn't. But the so it's a movie with Emily Blunt and John Krasinski in the lead roles, and it starts off with a family walking through the woods. One of the children, the daughter is deaf, so they're signing to each other, and you don't really know what's quite going on. And then something happens, and something comes out of the woods and basically kills one of the children. And you start to quickly get that it's how do I say this word? Post-apocalyptic world,
Okay.
where these monsters exist that react to sound. So they can't see anything, and the smallest noise or sound attracts them, and they're not very nice, obviously. So the whole twist is really that the mother is pregnant. So there's a tension that builds from the very beginning of the movie, where you know that at some point she's got to give birth to this baby, and this baby is not going to be quiet when it comes out.
Yeah.
So,
like the Scientologists, not allowed to make noise when they give birth.
Jeez, really? I didn't know that.
For reals.
God.
yeah. But unfortunately, I don't think they're Scientologists.
Okay, that's good to know.
So that would have ruined the movie then, wouldn't it? I mean, it would have been much of a movie.
They might have funded it. Who knows? John Krasinski, a Scientologist.
Who knows? So the tension really does build throughout, and there's not much dialogue either, especially at the beginning. It's all about sound.
Yeah.
And when you finally do see the monsters, what normally you've kind of, they're over CGI'd, but I think these ones were done pretty well by ILM, the Industrial Light and Magic, the people that do all the good effects for films like Star Wars.
Yeah.
So they, I just think it was a really, really effective movie, and again, it was one of those ones that doesn't have a particularly obvious ending either. I mean, some people were disappointed by it, but it kind of leaves a lot open to interpretation, and I just thought it was very, very, very good. Nicely balanced movie, like horror movie, more a thriller, I'd say, but it's got its horror moments for sure.
Now, you see, if I'd known it had the word thriller in, I would have
been interested.
I would have gone and seen it, but because I associated it instantly with horror, then I couldn't make that leap.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's been interesting because there's been less and less kind of outright horror movies recently. There's a lot of psychological horror. I just think people are looking for different angles now. Where we went through that whole period of time where, we had the really kind of gory slasher type movies that had started to make a comeback, and the last sort of few big horror movies have more been about the psychological side of horror than the actual obvious, limbs being ripped off and guts being pulled out. So yeah, I think there's a change in horror, and I think it's down to people trying to tell stories now in those kind of movies and go down a different avenue. So I don't know, it'd be interesting to see what happens in the rest of the year with horror, because it's a genre that I really, really love, and I just think I really like what they're doing at the moment. I really like the fact that a lot of the horror movies end up with open-ended kind of endings where you can decide for yourself what's...
Don't get spoon-fed every piece of information. You have to work it out for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Shock horror.
Can I just interject on... No, not interject. Can I just join in?
If you must.
I know everybody's a bit cross with me, but so just talking about that kind of Basil exposition, lots of explaining in a film.
Yeah.
That's a Mark Kermode term.
Oh, of
Basil
course.
Yeah, come on.
Sorry. I was going to say, because they loved that, because anyway, you finished your bit.
Well, I've just been to see the latest Incredibles. The Incredibles 2.
Oh, yes.
And have you seen that one? Anyone? Bueller? Nope.
My son and my husband have seen it.
Right. What did Aidan think?
He liked it, I think.
Yeah, I found it, actually, Flo, who's 6, finished it, and she said, Mum, that was really intense, because I found there was so much more explaining going on. Like, it was really dialogue heavy, and I was thinking, and so it was almost a relief when the crash bang wallop came, because you thought, at least they're going to stop talking, So it's, that balance that the first film had, Incredibles, which was, I thought, was just almost like a perfect kind of animation, in that you had the right amount of introductory, you had the right amount of everything, but this one kind of, I felt, went the other way. Sorry to come in with my own film review.
I'm trying to remember what it was. There is actually a phrase in Hollywood now, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically, it represents a movie that appeals to every type of audience. Oh. So adults, children, single adults, people over a certain age, and it's just they've developed a phrase for that, and that's what all the superhero movies have become.
Right.
And I think it's probably what Incredibles 2 is as well. Is that they don't want any barriers for entry, basically, into the cinema to go and see that film.
Yeah.
So it's probably something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. And I felt it kind of lost its way as a result, because the first film had a lightness to it. This one was quite dark and quite heavy, and sort of, oh man, it's a bit of a head basher by the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But maybe it was just the cinema I was in.
A Quiet Place. It's quite a short running time, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's was it written by John Krasinski or directed, or he had something?
I think it was directed by him. Yeah, you're right. It was. It's like I said, it's a very. I think you'd enjoy if you like those kind of movies where it's more about tension than the actual visceral horror. Then absolutely, it's a great movie.
Yeah,
really I'll go and see it with you, Katie.
I think we should.
Okay,
because I was quite interested by it.
Yeah,
and Mark Kermode and felt
Simon Mayo.
it had a funny kind of thing was experienced by moviegoers, because usually, you know, when you're in the movies and people are rustling and eating, and when people were watching A Quiet Place, they were experiencing, like, along with the tension of the film, they were experiencing, like, you know, it was such an all-encompassing feeling of watching it and being afraid of what would happen to you if you did make a noise, that nobody in the audiences who were watching it were making any noise at all. And if anybody did something, they got over, you know, irrationally angry at the person because they were making a noise and they're going to kill us all.
And I think, you know, and it was the sound effect, the sound of the movie was fantastic. I mean, the effects that they used, and like I said, you just know that it's building. So you start off, you know, you get the shock of the initial kind of scene, but knowing that this woman's about to give birth, the tension just keeps building, and you're just waiting for that moment to happen. You know,
I mean, it's quite an original
really
premise,
effective.
isn't it? No one's ever done anything like that before from a thriller horror point of view.
Thank you.
So we'll put that on our list, Lucy.
Yeah, we will. Yes. Something for us to go and see. Yes. And we've got a little bit of time, so if we wanted to play another track, Enrico, just so we can play to all your strengths. Oh, both. Wait, two of them. I didn't want to imply that you only had two strengths. Jeez.
Oh, well, that's even that's optimistic. Let's play another brand new track then. Let's play Like Sugar by Chaka Khan, which was a surprise release, so no one knew it was coming out. Obviously, Chaka Khan's been around for a while.
She has.
And released this new track from a new EP, and it's actually really, really, I was surprised at just how good it is.
Okay.
Oh, and we've just received a comment from one of our listeners.
Yes.
Before you play, about The Incredibles 2.
Yep.
Felt there was way too much dialogue aimed at adults.
Yep.
Lots of lightness was missing.
It's exactly
what you're saying.
What I said.
I concur.
That's very nice. And who is that? Was that Mark? Okay, so our
she just
listener.
ruined the whole thing. The one listener.
Chaka Khan. Okay, I'm doing Chaka. Any minute now.
my Wu-Tang name. I want the camera to come on me.
Oh, hi. Welcome back. That was such a
Loving
great
that.
track. Enrico, thank you.
Another great recommendation.
That was brilliant.
Very good.
That's going on my hooping playlist.
That
Great
Chaka
tracks
Khan,
to hoop to. You can
who
find
we
it on
worked
Spotify.
out was how old?
103,
Oh,
204,
still going.
21.
Like sugar.
Because that works so well earlier on as a gag. Okay, so we've only got 5 minutes.
Oh.
I know. I kind of misjudged the time like everything else. So bring us on to our third film, Enrico.
Well, before we go on to our third film, we were just talking while we were off air about Childish Gambino, who is Donald Glover, the actor, and Childish Gambino is his alter ego, his music side of his music side.
People
And he
might
released
know
tracks under
him
that
from
name.
This Is America. That's the one he's just done.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Have you seen that
And
video?
his music's great. If you listen to his other tracks, they're fantastic. He's a really good artist, and his name, Childish Gambino, comes from the hip hop act Wu-Tang Clan. They've got a Wu-Tang Clan name generator where you can type in your name and it generates the name of, if you were in the Wu-Tang Clan, what your name would be.
Yeah.
So his was Childish Gambino, and I did you two as well.
Oh,
I
did
all three of
you?
us.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
What's...
I did, yeah.
Do me
So
first.
my name,
Do me first.
my Wu-Tang name is Excessive Menace.
Oh, the excessive menace from Milan. That's better than Mono from Milan.
I love it. Yes, so that's you. What am I? What am I? What am I?
You, Lucy, are Tough Tiger Fist.
Ooh, sounds like a medical complaint.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said medical complaint.
That's like, should be an episode on inappropriate fluids.
And Katie's? What's
mine? What's mine?
It's the Ungrateful Ambassador.
Oh, well, I don't think I like that either. Sounds like something from a Trump podcast.
Can you run us through again and your downtime in between opening gyms in South Africa? Just run us through again because neither of us are happy with those.
Okay.
Tough Tiger Fist speaking.
Tough Tiger Fist.
So we've only got 4 minutes now.
Or the other thing you wanted to add was that phrase you were trying to think of for the movies is the four quadrant theory.
4 quadrants?
Yes.
Right.
Yep. Over to you now, Enrico, to explain what the 4 quadrant theory is. No?
So the 4 quadrant theory, I think Katie looked it up, but the 4 quadrant theory is basically the 4 groups of people that a movie needs to appeal to for it to get budget, basically.
So it's a male under 25 is the first quadrant, female under 25 is the second, third is male over 25, sensing a pattern here, fourth quadrant is female over 25, so that's basically everybody.
That's just such
Boring.
broad
Boringness.
Yes, it is, and obviously some movies, like certain movies will only be aimed at certain quadrants, but films like I'm guessing Incredibles 2, but also films like all the superhero movies apparently need to appeal to every one of those quadrants.
Jeez.
And Spielberg, Steven Spielberg, and also
Jodie Foster.
Anyway,
Jodie Foster.
And Steven Spielberg have both been talking recently about how it's so hard to get funding for movies that don't appeal to all 4 of those quadrants.
Yeah.
So lots of independent studios and independent filmmakers are finding it really difficult to get funding for films because of the superhero movies, basically.
Right. Gosh. 4 quadrant. Boo.
Fourth quadrant here, fourth quadrant over here.
Now, we've only got 2 minutes, so I don't want to sound like the speaking clock, but you might have to give us a 1-word review for your third film.
There's a movie called Ghostland, and it's also known as Incident in a Ghostland. So again, it's another one of those movies that was it came out last year, and I didn't see it last year. It just came up on my list of things to view or things that I might like viewing, and it's just a very, very, very good horror movie. Does have its moments of gore, just to warn you, but it's a very effective film, very disturbing. Very, very sort of psychological movie, and you're left at the end again with a very kind of open ending, a bit like The Witch. I don't know if you see The Witch. It's very similar to that in its approach. But yeah, worth watching. If it's on your Netflix recommendations, definitely worth watching.
Okay.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Ghostland. And that's Netflix.
We're doing costume drama next month.
Yeah, could we? Thanks. I like a nice Jane Austen. No zombies. Just
some drama, a little bit of post-apocalyptic action. I don't mind that.
Passionate hand-holding.
Next time, that's the thing. Let's do post-apocalyptic movies.
Yeah, let's do, because I love that genre.
Shall I be away that month?
No, don't. There's some good stuff.
Yeah, no, there is. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I need to woman up. We need to go.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Enrico, you stay on the line because me and Katie will then talk to you.
Thank you, Enrico.
Yeah, thank you, Enrico.
And happy birthday.
Yeah. And all those good things.
Buon compleanno.
Oh, you're just down with the kids. Thanks everybody for listening. I do apologise for the technical hiccups and just the plain, just lack of talent on this side of the desk. But Katie, you were incredible. You got to talk more, and then the camera goes on to you.
Well, it doesn't. See, I'm talking now, and it hasn't flicked to me. See, so have you done something to the camera as well?
I have to keep completely. I'm a quiet place over here.
Look over there. I'm not on screen. I'm not happy.
Sorry about that, everybody. I just, want to apologise deeply. It's been lovely. And next month, we're going to have a fun month again. Hopefully, Enrico can join us if he's not somewhere exciting, doing something exciting. But everybody stay safe. You can catch this show on Wairarapa TV from arrowfm.co.nz and look for ReCooper8 on iTunes or the blog, ReCooper8.com. Hit it.
Bye.
Oh, yeah.